Appreciate y'all, bro. Hold on real quick.
Hey, Joe Flacco ain't.
Nah, bro, Joe Flacco, my man, bro.
When you talk about fighting off the board, and did Shedeur bring a little bit of a different twist or spin to it? Because I just saw you guys laughing, so often, and did his presence kind of help keep things sort of light and fun for you?
For sure. I mean, you're always looking for that. That's what being a part of a team is all about.
Kenny Pickett hate? Cool. I will hunt you down if I hear January Joe slander. Joe Flacco was officially named the new starter for the Cleveland Browns, and they will be facing off the defenseless Bengals. Now, what does this mean for Shedeur Sanders? There's a lot of things what people have to say, but I've been of the mindset that Shedeur obviously shouldn't have started. This is a Browns team that is lacking a true identity. You're hoping that two rookie running backs, one who you can't even sign out of the second round, are going to be the ones that really give a force to the running game. You're going to hope a few new pieces on the offensive line and a few different moves there is going to really make things and take you over the top. So as a rookie quarterback who's probably not even the most favored in the quarterback room, Shedeur probably shouldn't start to get thrown to the wolves and to him to ultimately be blamed for the problem. I think learning from somebody like Joe Flacco, right? A big son of a gun, a Delaware legend, a Super Bowl champion is the perfect thing for Shedeur for him to give an extra edge as he goes on hopefully a long NFL career. So today, we're going to be analyzing Joe Flacco, his recent interview with the media, but we're also going to be comparing it to a few things that he said in the past. So first things first, just speaking on Joe Flacco, how he feels about being a starter.
Business as usual. Go out there and get another good practice in, get some rest with the guys, and kind of continue to work towards what we've been all training camp. So when did you?
So that's easy, that's simple, that's smooth. But what I'm really going to get deeper into is this idea of Joe Flacco, the mentor, without even being a mentor. Remember, this is what he said about being a mentor back in May 28th.
It's a talking point. You can kind of use it because it's a good question to bait somebody into answering. And no matter how they answer it, it kind of makes the guy that's answering it look bad. If I say I don't want to be a mentor, I look bad. If I say I do want to be a mentor, then I look like an idiot that doesn't care about being good and playing football. So it's one of those questions that no matter what I say, you guys can write what you want to write about it. And there's a lot of questions like that. That's why you end up having to try to avoid them. I tend to try to be honest. And I've said I'm not a mentor. I play football. And in a quarterback room, there's a lot of times there's been a ton of times where there's learning experiences, and I have a lot of experience, and I can talk on things, and hopefully they listen. But it's not necessarily my job to make sure they listen to me. And hey, hopefully you have a really good relationship with the guys that are in the room, and you naturally want to do that, But that was a long-winded answer, but that's ultimately why I think you guys ask it, Here's the thing is, because of what I just said, you're acting like I wouldn't want to be a mentor. It's once again, it's not really about that. It's just not the main focus. I see myself as a guy that can play in this league. So if your main focus was just hey, but I'm going to get you ready, you're just not taking care of business. The best way to be a mentor, honestly, is show people how you go to work, and like I said, hope that they pick up on that stuff, but not necessarily force them to pick up on the things that you do.
So this was made a big deal. Hey, Joe Flacco's not a mentor. He's not this. I hope people pick up, and the nice little smile there with Joe Flacco and Shedeur. Hey, I hope he picks something up. Or the people pick something up. So what does Shedeur have to say about being around Joe Flacco?
I learned a lot from the vets in the room. I see Joe do something, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm gonna try that. And then I do it and I see it on film and it's cool because I'm like, hey, bro, I did this because I seen you do it, bro. Then he'll be smiling and stuff like he's a proud dad. So it'd be funny. It's fun whenever I'm able to take things that each guy, does differently and put it on my own way and be able to, pay homage to them and show respect.
So, first of all, shout out to Shedeur. I don't got to tell y'all as Shedeur people that, this is somebody who really respects the game, respects the craft, respects the greats, right? He doesn't go around talking about Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. He talks about Tom Brady's and now Joe Flacco's, right? This is somebody who has a respect for the old way the game is done. And he appreciates, no offense, Joe Flacco, but an older man getting after it and doing it. And he's, openly saying that. And of course, Shedeur is always going to be Shedeur, right? And this next question that we're going to hear him him. He was actually recently asked about Shedeur, so we're going to get into that. But before, how do we get here? How do we get to me thinking there's a relationship with Shedeur? We all remember this?
You ever hit that bit?
You ever hit that
What's
bit?
that? Definitely not. I don't know if I've ever hit a public dance move in my life.
So some people were joking. Some people were taking it way too serious. Flacco was trying to hit Jerry Jeudy and Stride on the go route 50 yards down the field. He doesn't have time to hit Shedeur's dance move. By the way, I don't know why people were freaking out. Like everybody, is everyone 90 years old? That's the, and you know what I mean? That's the shmoney dance. Now, everybody knows that. That I was like in middle school when that came out. Like don't act like that's something that you ain't never heard of. But Joe Flacco, I think, is old enough to never heard of it, or have never heard of it. What's it called? And this is what he had to say about dancing. Also,
You're not going to do the dance on TikTok then? Is what you're telling
No
me?
TikTok dances. The fact that people, that is different too. This generation, the fact that people want to get on their phones and show people the most, like, that's embarrassing. You're an adult. Like, be an adult. Like, it's just like I can't wrap my head around that. And like I get it. Like you have kids and like you want to have fun with your kids. Like, well, like have fun with your kids in private. You know, that's what I think.
Does that make you more guarded, Joe?
I'm not guarded. I don't think I'm guarded at all. I think honestly, if you talk to me in person, I'll tell you a lot. I'll be pretty honest with you. But like, yeah, on social media, no chance. No chance.
No
There's part of me.
chance.
There's a piece of me at times that like, gosh, should I be this guy that kind of like does this a little bit? Like, cause I feel like in order to have a good social media, you do want to be honest and like show what you do in your life. But it's just like, that's a job in itself.
I didn't know Joe Flacco was this cool. I know Joe Cool. You know what I'm saying? I know January Joe. Okay, I know he's a dude, but I didn't know he was this cool. I gotta be honest with you. But you know, just joking there, talking about TikToks. This is obviously not a TikTok dance, which is funny. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why people are calling it Shedeur's or TikTok moves or whatever. I think it's funny. And clearly the interactions between Shedeur and Flacco have not gone unnoticed from the Browns fan base. So I want you to guess, before I play this, guess which reporter asked Joe Flacco about Shedeur Sanders. In a Joe Flacco look at his eyes. Just I want you to guess right now. Comment down below. Who do you think is going to ask Joe Flacco about Shedeur Sanders, a completely different quarterback? You commented it? You got it? Did you type it? Okay, you're right. Don't worry. You're 100% right.
Talk about fighting off the board. And did Shedeur bring a
Mary Kay!
twist or spin to it? Because I just saw you guys laughing, so often. And did his presence kind of help keep things sort of light and fun for you this game?
For sure. I mean, you're always looking for that. That's what being a part of a team is all about.
Nice.
Making those connections with guys, it puts us all in that better mindset. In order to play really well, you need to be in a great mindset. And I think, having those relationships and being able to laugh about certain things, but also get your work done is a big part of being successful.
No one's as happy that you're.
Hey, man, that's a great thing. And actually, he was going to talk about David Njoku being happy about that. And just because we're going to get into, there's a few more interviews that we're going to go deeper in Joe Flacco, and these are kind of more relating to the team. He's going to talk about what he said to Shedeur and Kenny and them. He said he didn't really say anything. He just said, "Hey, I'm the starter." I want to give my take. I want to yap about kind of this whole situation right now. When we think about the type of quarterback Shedeur is, he's known to be a pro-style quarterback. He's known to be a pocket passer. And you think about even down to his throwing mechanics, which is something that I've talked about a lot, even down to his throwing mechanics, he's a very fundamental type of guy. He's over the top. He, uses a lot of his lower body to transition to get that torque right. In this modern day where there's a lot more sidearm throws and stuff like that. Not that Shedeur can't make those throws, but it's clear that the way that he likes to get the job done is, hey, simple, clean, over the top. And it's a way that, Joe Flacco operates too. Joe Flacco comes from the Elk. He was competing against the Tom Bradys and beating them. He was competing against the Peyton Mannings and the Phillip Rivers had he was one of the first to be that crazy gunslinger style thing. But that classic style, that classic mold of quarterback. So not just, hey, quarterback style. Hey, Joe Flacco's a big body. I'm standing in the pocket, I'm delivering, right? But also the way that he operates, right? For as much as I will always defend Shedeur being an outward, boisterous, confident guy. I would be dumb and not mature if I didn't realize that he probably is still gaining some maturity from Joe Flacco, right? We can all sit here and me, like I'll say, I think Shedeur is plenty enough humble and mature, but he's still a 20-something-year-old, right? He still hasn't been in the league for a decade or more like Joe Flacco has been. There's a real deal levels to this, right? So just as a pure watching him operate, like Shedeur talked about, hey, I'm picking up on these things, small things. I don't know if there's ever been a more unique way. How many other 40-year-old quarterbacks are in the league? Like, how many other 40-year-old quarterbacks are you allowed to even learn from? So as much as, you know, we can talk about, oh, straight Shedeur, or he's doing this, or he's being treated wrong, I want to make sure that for all the Shedeur fans, we cherish the opportunity for Shedeur to be in the same room with Joe Flacco. Remember that, right? Joe Flacco, even if it doesn't look great on the field, what's in his noggin, what's in his mindset, and the fact that him and Shedeur clearly have a little bit of a back and forth in a positive way, I think it's only going to pay dividends for him, Shedeur Sanders, that is, as he goes through his career and hopefully makes it a long career, right? I don't know if you're a fifth rounder wanting to know how to stay in the league. You should probably talk to the man who's been in the league for almost 2 decades, right? Like that is the, I think, a good way to learn it. So let's continue on. Mr. Man with 2 decades, we're not going to take too long. I think this is a good time to bring this back up.
Appreciate y'all, bro. Hold on real quick.
Hey, Joe Flacco ain't shit.
Nah, bro, the back of my man, bro.
Hey, Joe.
I like Shedeur more though, you feel me?
Yeah, that's my man, bro.
Hey, you take it easy though,
No,
boss.
appreciate y'all, bro. Let me see y'all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You feel me? Okay, I forgot. I forgot about that. Joe Flacco. So, and I remember when this video came out, I made it very poignant. I said, hey, we ain't taking none of that Joe Flacco hate. Kenny Pickett hate? Cool. Dylan Gabriel hate? I'm not really messing with it. I don't condone it, but you do you. I will hunt you down if I hear January Joe slander. All right? All right? This is a fossil. In all ways positive. He's like that T-Rex fossil in Night of the Museum. Holy canola oil. This dude's a dog. You get it? Because the puppy, he was the T-Rex was like a puppy in the movie. Don't worry about it. Anyway, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, we all. I mean, Kevin came in the room and talked to all of us. You know, we all talked. We've all talked. I mean, yeah, we're in there. We're this close to each other every single day. I mean, there can be some awkwardness, but at the end of the day, like, we're all adults. We just want to be honest with each other, and we want people to be honest with us. And at the end, like, if you get that, we've all been through situations like this. You feel good about whatever it is. Honesty is the main thing. Looking somebody in the eye and having a conversation with them is the main thing. It doesn't mean you're going to be happy and all that with whatever's happened and going on, but I think that's all that any of us can ask for. So listen, the guys in that room are extremely professional, and we all know how to handle ourselves, and we're friendly, so, you know, it is what it is. What was your message?
And I think
I didn't have a specific message, you know. You just
no specific, yeah, but you know how Joe get down. Anyway, I think that's the biggest thing, right? When you talk about, you know, for as much as people wanted to paint this, you know, like I said, I try to shut down the whole Dylan versus Shedeur thing. It's really not them versus each other, right? As much as it's a competition, they're competing and they're, you know, going at for these limited roster spots. I want to stress that in that same way, they're still growing a camaraderie as a team, right? They're still gaining new understandings of new people, new places, new colleges, new organizations. Kenny Pickett, right? As much as we are anti Kenny Pickett around here, I think Kenny Pickett has a lot of great knowledge coming from a Super Bowl organization, Steelers organization, doing the great things he did at Pitt, right? I think sometimes we start devaluing people based on what have you done for me lately, right? And we don't value what it means to come from a different place and play football in the North, you know, something that Shedeur hasn't done as much, right? So, you know, learning from Joe Flacco, who's played literally everywhere for so long. Dylan Gabriel, who was up in the West Coast, right now, you know, I think he's played a little bit. Obviously, he's played against Oregon, XYZ. So, but still, these are experiences. Dylan Gabriel went to the playoffs, has played longer seasons than Shedeur, right? That has to play a factor in how you do different things, right? So I think there's just a wealth of knowledge from this quarterback room, and it would would be a shame for us to just look at it and say, hey, it's just a big mean what's it called, competition, which it is a competition, but at the same time, I think these guys, all of them are learning from each other and gaining things that are all going to take each other from each other throughout their career, wherever it takes them. So want to not stop right here, but I think the last thing we're going to talk about is obviously Joe Flacco speaking about Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond, obviously former Alabama and Texas wide receiver. He was quite underwhelming with my Longhorns, but it was a lot to do with injuries, some to do with a decently crowded wide receiver room. DeAndre Moore is going crazy. Matthew Golden was stepping up, so things just kind of shaped up a little different. He wasn't really shook out to what he thought he was going to be. So I think it's interesting though, because what he does offer is great speed, right? He offers great experience playing for both an Alabama offense as well as Steve Sarkisian's offense, which is, starting to heavily bleed in. He's becoming that modern, not Lane Kiffin. Don't ever say Lane Kiffin. USC, you know what I'm talking about. USC head coach. I cannot believe I forgot his name, but that era of his offense is becoming so potent that it's leaking over, right? Even the days of Texas Tech and Cliff Kingsbury, right? Those days of okay, he's the offensive coordinator that started leaking over into the NFL. His concepts, Steve Sarkisian, obviously being former NFL, it has that mindset and has those concepts that are a little more advanced and probably will allow him to work pretty well in this Kevin Stefanski offense. But what does Joe Flacco have to say?
Yeah, listen, I think anytime you bring that kind of speed to an offense, it can help a lot of things out. Run game, short passing game. I think when you have a guy like Jerry on the other side, who can really, we have a lot of confidence can win against anybody, it makes it harder for defenses to kind of, maybe pay more attention to him and things like that. So, yeah, it can open up, all kinds of possibilities.
So, obviously people are quite excited. You think about this. This was a team, and obviously Isaiah Bond, probably most recently known for his case that did get dismissed, and he does have a countersuit. I do want to point that out. You come from an offense where, a lot of people were thinking that, this was going to be a very sad wide receiver core, one that would have to be heavily helped by the additions of Harold Fannin, right? And hopefully, David Njoku making a large part in that. But now you add Isaiah Bond, who was, drafted or projected to be a second, third round guy. And you add him with a bit of not just speed, but some experience and some high-powered offenses. I think you're going to get something that's going to extend the lifestyle and extend the weaponry of this Cleveland Brown offense. It comes to how well can he get caught up, how long does it take to get everybody acclimated, and how he meshes with the rest of the team. I hope this does not mean our man Luke Floria is not going to come back, but we'll see that. But it was dope, man. It was dope to kind of walk down this little relationship with Joe Flacco, Shedeur, him with the rest of the team. He is the old guard, but he's doing it in the right way. He seems to be very in the most open-minded, closed-minded way possible, right? Where he's giving his older wisdom while still opening up to the smiles of the young people. So I think that's a beautiful thing, a great thing. And I think there's a very short list of quarterbacks in the NFL that you would want to be in the same room with as a young quarterback other than Joe Flacco. So y'all let me know how you feel down below in the comment. How y'all feel about Joe Flacco starting? Of course, Shedeur molding. Should he get traded? I know probably what y'all are going to say. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't. Subscribe if you like football content of all shapes, sizes, forms, and fashion. Yes, college football content's back, man. You better watch out. You better buckle your britches. You be phenomenal. We'll see you next time. Peace.